time for Flames Unfiltered, your spot for Calgary Flames hockey talk. Is it ever going to be easy? 6-1 lead squandered. 5-on-3, you take a high-sticking penalty and a complete no-show last night versus Colorado. Frustration continues. Good evening and welcome to another episode of Flames Unfiltered, hosted by Brad Burud and Kyle Lewis. Kyle is MIA tonight, is very under the weather, so we're wishing Kyle a speedy recovery from his illness. So you're stuck with me, man. 150 episodes. 150. I don't know. I guess it's a milestone. I didn't plan anything special for 150. Maybe 200. We'll do something special. Maybe 200. We'll do something special. 150 though. I'm proud of it. It's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. But you know what? It's what I love to do, man. I love the Calgary Flames. I love talking Flames hockey. This is probably not one of my easier episodes. It's probably one of my more difficult episodes, to be honest with you, when you think about it, because things have been rough, man. There's not a lot of positives to talk about, and not a lot of fun. So these shows, I mean, I'm not complaining because I love what I do, but they're a freaking grind when your team's not playing well. They're not as easy, and I guess that's just how it is, and we'll roll with the punches. But 150, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Not many podcasts make it that long, especially weekly ones. There's very few weekly podcasts that hit 150 episodes. So, all right, moving on. Are we ever going to be satisfied with this team? I don't think I am going to be this year. It's weird. It just seems like every time I feel like I'm starting to see some things I like, I see 5 or 6 things I don't like. And I am not writing this team off, but I'm probably, I guess, more than concerned where we are currently right now. It's not a good situation, and hopefully we can get things turned around. All my friends and obviously my family know how important the Flames are, and for me, and I got this little buddy named Lincoln who turned 5 the other day, and I got him he's got a lot of influences in that are around him that love hockey. That love hockey, and he's friends with a junior hockey player in our area that really takes care of him and has helped get him into loving hockey more and more. Well, he was over at our house probably a couple months ago now, and I try to influence him on teams. His next door neighbor guy is a Colorado Avalanche fan, so he's influenced him there. I try to influence him to be a Flames fan. I give him a pack of Flames cards. He likes the Flames now. The other night, his dad sends me a text message, and it is a picture of Lincoln. And here is the picture, and it's Lincoln holding his favorite toy, and he's got a flame sticker on the garbage truck, and I laughed right away because I thought, all right, I'm getting through to this kid. He likes the Flames. And then I looked at the picture a little bit more, and I started to think, this isn't good. Is he telling me that the Flames are garbage? Or is he telling me that he likes the Flames? And I hate to say it, but I think Lincoln's got it figured out, man. I think this team might be garbage. But we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong. But I'm frustrated right now. And I'm having a struggle trying to get through that frustration, and it's sad when you watch a Flames game and it's 6-1 and you still think, oh boy, what's going to happen. That's a crappy feeling. But it's something we're dealing with now, and we probably all as Flames fans need a little bit of counseling this week, right? Big episode, lots to talk about. We're going to recap the final 3 games of the road trip, 2 wins and a loss, and then we'll talk about this battle against the defending Stanley Cup champs last night. That was a big L in more ways than one. We'll roll into some Flames news, talk about Walker Duehr's first, Zahorna, and the odds of the Flames making the playoffs and crazy, the Stanley Cup finals. And then we'll roll into who should be in net for the Flames right now, real controversial around Calgary. And Pelletier has been watching for 6 games up above. Now, does that affect how other prospects view their chances in a Daryl Sutter system? We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll preview a pair of home games, one of which is the return of Johnny Hockey. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I got a feeling there'll be a little bit of boo birds out that night. It's time for another edition of Flames Unfiltered. All right, Flames fans, lots and lots and lots of games to talk about. We're doing this show a day later on the schedule. Yeah, a day later than we normally do, just because there was a Flames game last night. So we got to focus on adjusting the schedule a little bit around the Flames schedule. Let's roll back to Wednesday night. St. Louis and Calgary in St. Louis. And a good game for the Flames. Vladar in net. Duehr gets his shot. Pelletier's out again. No scoring in the first. I was very happy with the way Van Vladar played in this one. And then Walker Duehr. Walker Duehr gets his first NHL goal on a great 2-on-1 play. And the reason why I'm kind of focusing on this one is because it kind of hit home a little bit in the fact that Walker Duehr is from South Dakota. He's the first ever player in the National Hockey League to score a goal from South Dakota. I think he might even be the first player from South Dakota in the National Hockey League, which is pretty damn cool. And the reason I think it's cool is because I am from North Dakota. Many of you know that. I've been a Flames fan since 1983, 84 was kind of when I started to get introduced to the Flames. But anyways, it's a big deal. There's not a lot of players that make it from these areas, not because they're not good hockey players. It's just because of the population. I mean, I can speak for North Dakota. It's about the same amount of population as, in the state as in Calgary, in the Calgary area. So the sheer numbers, the odds of making it are a lot slimmer. And I thought it was good because the way Walker Duehr plays and the way he is as a human being kind of sums up a little bit about what North and South Dakota are about. Hardworking, friendly people that love hockey. And not ripping on South Dakota by saying this, but there's a little bit more hockey in North Dakota than South Dakota, but both states definitely love the sport. To see Walker Duehr score that gives hope for a lot of young North Dakota kids or South Dakota kids. I thought what Walker Duehr said after was pretty telling. And his quote was, "I'm sure they see me doing it, and it probably puts a belief in their head, which it should. Anybody who puts their head down and goes to work can achieve pretty great things. So hopefully they can look at that and dream big." And I like what Walker Duehr has done thus far for the Flames. I think he's been a little bit more impactful in some games than others. But this was a big goal in the second period to get the Flames out 1-0. And then things really went the Flames' way this night. I kind of thought this was maybe a game where we turn a corner, maybe, where where we can shift gears and get past it, where we weren't struggling. In the third period, it was 1-1, and I thought, here we go. Is St. Louis going to work back into this? But then Dylan Dubé was able to score, and then back-to-back turnovers for St. Louis, and Coleman adds one, and Dubé adds another, and the Flames get out of this one in St. Louis 4-1, and at two really critical points after coming off a tough loss 2 nights earlier in St. Louis. Points on a team that was chasing them so much in the standings is pretty critical. The key to this game this night, and it also sums up the Walker Duehr thing. The forecheck was strong. The forecheck was solid this night, and it led to 2 points for the Flames. Now we fast forward to the last night's game against Colorado, and one of the things I thought the Flames lacked was that strong forecheck that got them the 2 points in St. Louis, and we see what it did last night. Saturday afternoon game, Calgary at Dallas. Vladar gets the go again. And I'm not sure really what to say on this one, except that I think the Dallas's uniforms are god-awful horrendous. I also hate day games. I know everybody that listens to this show and listens to me babble about the Flames knows I hate day games. The floodgates opened in this one, and Calgary jumps out to a 6-1 lead. Majapani Lewis scoring the first. Jamie Benn gets one late in the first, 2-1 after one. Then Lindholm, Kadri, Anderson, and Tanev all score, and it's 6-1. 6-1. Two of the goals being power play goals for a power play that's been struggling miserably and was just what the doctor ordered. And everybody thought things were good. Tyler Seguin scores in the final minute of the second period. We go into the third frame, 6-2, and I don't know. I felt fairly comfortable. I really did. I wasn't worried. I was like, oh, Vladar's in net. Things have been good. He's been solid. All systems go. I mean, the puck was just going in for this team. And then Pavelski scores. And it's 6-3. And I thought, oh, okay. And Pavelski scores again. It's 6-4. Now I'm panicking. Now I'm in full panic mode. And then Miller scores a slapper from the point. And I'm like, oh, man. One goal, and we had about 6 minutes of 5.5, 6 minutes of pure panic for Flames fans. They were able to hang on to this and win it 6-5 and got another 2 points in a road trip that seemed pretty crummy, but we were getting points every night. I know I sound like Daryl Sutter saying that, and normally I wouldn't mind, but with the way things have been going with Sutter lately, I don't know if I want to sound like him right now. Moving on, though. Monday, Calgary's in Nashville to wind up this Central Division road trip, and I was not happy with this game. I was not happy at all. Markstrom gets the net. Roman Josi scores off of Zadorov's leg, which wasn't Markstrom's fault. Then Parsonen scores. It's 2-0. Zadorov makes it 2-1, and I thought, okay, is there hope? Is there hope? But then the Flames fizzled it away because the Flames dominated this third period, like dominated it bigger than life. We get a 5-on-3 with a minute 42 of 5-on-3. It's like, all right, we can maybe pound in 2 here. One for sure gets us tied, then who knows what can happen, right, Flames fans? And let's rewind a little bit. I forgot to talk about the Toffoli kick-in. I thought it was a kick-in. I know many Flames fans didn't. They thought it should have counted. Even Daryl Sutter thought it should have counted. I kind of saw this one as I could see a movement there. So I wasn't freaking about that one. But so we're at this 5-on-3. And right into the 5-on-3, Anderson takes a high sticking penalty away from the puck. These are the things that can't happen. And we've been saying it all year. This is a veteran team. This shouldn't happen. This is a veteran team. This shouldn't happen. I don't know if it has anything to do with veterans anymore. I'm thinking it's more has to do with mindsets. I think mindsets is the problem, not, we lack veteran. We got a ton of veterans God, if anything, we maybe needed some youth and some speed. I don't know. This bothered me. It looked like a game where it was like, oh shit, we're down by a goal in the third, and now we're gonna have to kick it in the ass, and that pisses me off. I thought it was a crappy game. I thought the Flames lacked some effort. I questioned some of the players' effort in this one, and it was pretty frustrated after this game. Flames fly home late Monday night. Wednesday, it's the Colorado Avalanche coming into town for their second matchup of the year. And yeah, it started off. Markstrom gets to go. It starts off bad right from the get-go. As Rantanen scores, Lehkonen scores. It's 3-0 after one. And I know a lot of people were all over Markstrom, and I was too. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. And it's not so much like I thought the second goal Markstrom should have had for sure. He's just not making the timely saves. He's not making the timely saves. I didn't like our start, man. We allow a golden scoring chance 10 seconds in. The Flames looked like they were sleeping the whole first period for sure. And you dig yourself a 3-goal hole against the Stanley Cup champs, you're probably not coming out of that. No matter what, you're probably not coming out of that. In the third period, we see line switching, and we see effort. We see something we didn't see the first two periods. And again, like the Nashville game that I just talked about, it frustrated me. The line shuffled. Huberdeau went up to the first line with Lindholm and Toffoli, Kadri, Mangiapane, and Coleman. Backlund, Dubé, Lewis, Ruzicka, Lucic, and Dewar, which, God, these lines are way better. Oh, they're just way better. And if he goes back to him, which Saturday we play Tampa Bay, Hockey Night in Canada, afternoon game, Hockey Day in Canada, I guess I should say. And, you know, I've already been messaging with some friends, and I haven't asked Kyle about this one, but I need to ask him tonight about this one. I think I'd bet money that we go back to Lucic on the second line. We go back to standard lines for Tampa Bay. God, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Pelletier gets a shot. I hope that Huberdeau gets to play with Lindholm and Toffoli, because I do really think that that's his home. That's where he belongs. The Flames outshoot the Avs 13-4 in the third, which, like the Nashville game, frustrates me a little bit. I don't understand how the panic push, I call it, is something that we're worrying about with this team that's supposed to be so veteran laden and knows how to fight through this and knows how to win 1-goal games, which they don't. And we hear so much of this crap that we don't see results on. But I do know one thing. When that game ended on Wednesday night, I saw a lot of players that didn't have their give a shit meter was not very high. And that's not a good sign. Some tidbits of Flames news. Zahorna was sent back to the AHL earlier this week. He's playing right now with the Wranglers. One other thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was probably more than crazy, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. I'm a numbers guy. I like statistical probabilities and various things like that. And I was sitting there wondering, okay, well, the Flames are muddling outside. Well, they're in a playoff position points wise. They're not in a playoff position by percentage wise. But let me just pull this up right now. And I sit and I worry a little bit about, where this team's going, what direction they're going. And then I look at the odds makers, and I look at I pulled up Money Book. I don't know if you guys look at that one ever, but these are just statistical measurements of where they think teams will finish in the end. And they had the Flames as a 90% chance. A 90.5% chance of making it to the playoffs. which I think is really high. I'd probably give them, like, if I had to just was like rolling dice, I'd probably say like 70% chance. They've got them 52 or 53.4% chance of making the second round, 31% chance of making the third round, 18.2% chance of making the finals, and a 9.7% chance of winning the cup. Whoa. Edmonton is an 8.7. Toronto is a 7.1. Tampa Bay is a 6.6. Boston is a 10%. They are one of two teams higher than Calgary. Carolina has 11.3. That is crazy to me that we're the third highest, most likelihood team to win a Stanley Cup this year. Because I'm not seeing it at all. And I know many of you aren't seeing it at all based off what I'm seeing on social media, on talk radio, and everything else going on. But oof, I don't know. They've got the Flames still. They got them kicking still. All right, we're going to talk goaltending. And I know everybody's like, oh, man, every Flames talk show or radio show or podcast is talking goaltending. Well, I'm sorry to break the news to you. There's only so much to talk about when it comes to this team. And one of the biggest, most controversial points is goaltending. And I'm going to go through it with an open mind. I've always been a Jacob Markstrom fan. But I'm also a realist in that we need points right now. And Dan Vladar is 7-0-3 in his last 10. He has not lost a game since October 24th. And Sutter's not playing him. He got 2 games on the road trip coming off of that. Markstrom has been clearly stated as the starting goalie for the Calgary Flames. Now, one of the misconceptions that's out there is just because I want Vladar to start right now doesn't mean that he's the starter for the rest of the year. Like, he's our best chance at winning right now. And just like whether it's the forward lines, which I could go into about a 20-minute spiel on that, or the defensive lines, I think it's the coach's job to field the best roster that gives us the very best chance to win. And not playing Dan Vladar right now, to me, doesn't give us the best chance. Now, I've heard a ton of talk this week about run support. Goal support, run support if you're a pitcher. I talk a little bit of baseball there. And I got some news stats today that I want to bring up too that I saw that I don't know how to really read this. This guy, I'll post, I'm going to give his name because this is a damn good post. It was on a Flames Facebook page called Calgary Flames Fans, and Nathan Lehman wrote it. And here's what his take is. If the team in front of Markstrom held up their end, both our goalies would have identical records right now. And here's his stats breakdown, and then I'll go into it a little bit further. I'll read them off to you. Markstrom's last 11, he has a 2.45 goals against average. The team has scored 2 or few goals 4 of those times, all regulation losses, and they've averaged 3.0 goals per game. Vladar's last 10, he has a 2.7 goals against average, and the team has scored 3 or more goals in every single game, and they've averaged a 4.2 goals per game. So I'm going to stop there. I've finished what he's posted. But that right there in itself, if they're equal, but the team is giving him run support, goal support, whatever you want to call it, I don't give a crap how or why. If there's some reason out there that they're scoring more with Vladar, for God's sakes, roll with it. That doesn't make any sense not to roll with it. Does it make sense why we're scoring more for one than the other? No, it doesn't. But roll with it, right? Now he goes on, he said, if the team scored 3 or more, they will likely have three or more like they have in all of Vladar's last 10 starts, Markstrom's games, he would be at worst 7-0-4. Vladar has been getting 1 goal per game of support more than Markstrom, and you wonder why he's 7-0-3 in his last 10. All right. Your statistics make sense, and I agree with you. But it doesn't matter. Like, those numbers, they matter but don't matter on the scoreboard, right? Like, if we're scoring more with Vladar in net, like Vladar in net, like, does it really matter why we're scoring more with Vladar in net? But we just need to score goals, right? To protect our goalies, to give them a chance to win the games for us. Because right now, we're not getting the shutouts that we were so accustomed to last year. We were so spoiled last year and getting shutouts all the time. And, we'd win a game 3-1. And it seemed like we were scoring a whole bunch more, but we saw the stats and we talked about them a couple podcasts ago that we were actually ahead in goals for this year than last year at that time. We weren't scoring more goals. We were just not having to score 4 or 5 a night to win like we do now when Markstrom's in net. And it comes down to the timely saves. I mean, he's still under 900 in save percentage at .894. I can look to see what it's at right at the current moment. But like, you're still not, I remember a quote earlier this year that Daryl Sutter said. He said, the numbers don't matter. It's the wins, right? It's the wins. Well, if that's the truth, Daryl, then why isn't Vladar playing? Because it doesn't matter. He's getting us the wins. And as much as I'm a huge Markstrom fan, and we need Markstrom going if we're going to have a run in the playoffs, God, if we make the playoffs, we're going to need Markstrom going to get there. But he's at .895, and numbers don't lie. That's not going to get you many wins in the National Hockey League. It's not. You have to play who's hot. You have to play who's winning games. And here's probably the most telling thing. I don't feel like Markstrom looks comfortable. I'm not a goalie expert, but I think a lot of people would agree with me in the fact that he just doesn't look comfortable in his net. He doesn't look comfortable making saves. Last year he was just so, quick up, boom, save, protect that rebound, whatever. This year it seems like he's fumbly. He's not in control of his rebounds. He's searching for the net more. He's back in his net too much. When he goes down, he's down and just stays down. It just doesn't look normal. It doesn't look like the Jacob Markstrom that we watched last year. This guy was a Vezina candidate. Can he be there again? Hell yes, he can be there again, and he probably will be, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. He's definitely going to get the chance because everything Sutter says is Markstrom's my man. I'm riding him hell or high water. And right now the water is getting pretty goddamn high. Another controversial topic, and one that's been talked about, I know, by everybody in Calgary and is getting a ton of talk, is what we're doing with our prospects. Jacob Pelletier has sat out 6 straight games. And now I'm not going to drill into that and dive into that, but I do want to touch on one thing. He hasn't played yet. And now we're coming off a 4-1 loss. A loss in which the lines got shuffled. Now, if this isn't a time to give him a chance, I don't know what is. Now, Daryl Sutter had a quote the other day that said he's excited to be here. At the end of the day, I want him to get in. I want to get him in. But you know what? We're not 10 up and we're not 10 out. That's the way it works. But right now, we need a spark. And we need a spark bigger than anything, and we're not winning games. So what do we have to lose? Is Jacob Pelletier the answer that solves the problems for this team? Hell no. Not even close. But is he something that could help turn the tides a little bit, create a little bit of a spark, create a little bit of that work ethic that we all questioned in the Nashville and Colorado game? Does he change the tides there? Does he give a new attitude in the locker room? Does he build confidence for some of the veterans who help him along? I know he's young and I know the mistakes can be made, but the mistakes are being made by the veterans. So what does it matter? Right? What does it matter? We can only have good happen. Where I'm really going with this part of the conversation is this, though. I worry about him being up 6 games and not getting a sniff. I worry about Phillips getting 2 games, I believe it was. I don't know that he was going to get more than that either way, but Kyle would argue with me on that one. I worry about what the perspective is for these young players. Because when you look at it, and you look at our prospect pool, which I don't think is extremely deep at all. Some people might argue with me. I mean, what are you going to do? Is Matthew Phillips re-signing here this year? He's an RFA. I doubt it. I don't know. How are you going to keep these guys in the system? How are you going to keep them motivated if you're not going to give them a chance? And where it really is going to come to fruition is Matthew Coronado. He's playing at Harvard right now. It was announced today that he's a Hobey Baker finalist. He's probably Coronado's probably our highest upside draft pick that we don't know yet. As far as being could possibly be a star player. He's heading into I believe he's finishing his sophomore year this year. And in March now, some decisions are going to have to be made. And so if you're this young man and you're watching Calgary, because if you're drafted by Calgary, you're kidding me. If I'm drafted by the San Jose Sharks, I'm following every one of their games. I'm going to know every one of their players, every one of their prospects, how their system works, their ins and outs of every game. I'm watching them. I'm sorry, I'm watching them all because that's where I'm going, man. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What do you think if you're Matthew Coronado now sitting here looking at Calgary going, Jacob's been up 6 games, hasn't seen a sniff. Phillips didn't get a chance, and he was tearing up the AHL and scoring. And this team needs scoring. Geez, how long before I get a chance? Do I want to go through this? I don't have to. I don't know. Why if you're a young prospect, why do you want to buck the system and go? Now, in defense of Daryl Sutter, which I've been ripping on a lot lately, and Daryl Sutter is probably if you told me name your favorite all-time coach, I'd probably say Daryl Sutter. But I mean, I'm frustrated right now. And I'm not as frustrated as some other people about him playing the prospects. I'm more frustrated in the line situations, the stubbornness, and those kind of things that have been talked about ad nauseum. But I'm a little bit worried on what perception we're giving the young prospects out there. I'm worried about it. I'm worried about players going, well, shoot, am I going to get a fair shake in Calgary? I don't need to go. I mean, is it worth the fight? Sure as hell going to have a tough time re-signing any of these guys. And I'm all about letting them mature in the American Hockey League and learning the professional ropes. I think it is, all in all, the right way to go. It really is. But let them marinate too long? You gotta throw them a little bit of a bone. And right now, I know we're not 10 out, and I know we're not 10 up. We were 10 up last year, and I didn't see anybody get a chance. Right now is as good a chance as any in my mind to give somebody a chance. Get all your Flames Unfiltered podcasts, team news, team updates, and highlights at flamesunfiltered.com. All right, Flames fans, time to preview what we got ahead this week in Calgary as things start to slow down a little bit for the team. And the next game, as today was the 19th, Thursday was a day off for the Flames. They're back at it practicing 10:30 tomorrow morning and pack for a 1 o'clock afternoon matinee with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So the 2 cup winners in a row. Yeah, this is exactly what the doctor ordered when your team's struggling at scoring and actually struggling keeping the puck out of the net, right? Yeah. Whew. Saturday is Hockey Day in Canada. One of my favorite days of the year. It's a celebration of the sport of hockey in Canada. And it's a day that I'm glued in front of the TV set all day. And this year we get a day game in Calgary. I hate day games, but we get a home game in Calgary. I would have rather seen this be the late one, but it is what it is. The Lightning come into town. It's the second of 2 meetings. Calgary lost to Tampa Bay November 17th, 4-1. And the final meeting between the two, Tampa Bay currently third in the Central with 57 points, 5-4-1 in their last 10. Then it gets really interesting as, Sunday looks like a day off for the team, and they're back at it again Monday as the Columbus Blue Jackets come to town. Not just the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Johnny Gaudreau-led Columbus Blue Jackets come to town to the Saddle Dome. And what's it going to be? What's it going to be? And I really wish Kyle was here tonight to talk about this. And Kyle and I are going to recap this next Wednesday night when we talk. What's it going to be, man? Is it going to be the Boo Birds out the whole game? Is it going to be cheering during the tribute and booing the rest of the way? What do you think it's going to be? We watched the Matthew Tkachuk situation where it was cheer on the tribute, boo the rest of the way. We saw the Sean Monahan where it was cheer during the tribute, cheer everything he did. And now we got Johnny Gaudreau, the guy that ditched us in the last dying moments to sign a contract here. What happens? I'm going to make my prediction. I think it's a pretty good ovation, not a standing ovation, but a pretty good ovation for the tribute. And I got a feeling it's going to be hellacious boos the entire night. I don't think this is going to be a fun night for Johnny Gaudreau. It is the second of 2 meetings between the two. Columbus beat Calgary 3-1 December 9th. Columbus is horrible. They're dead last in the Metro. They have 28 points. They've lost 2 straight. This is a team we definitely need 2 points against. If we are going to make the playoffs this year, we've already surrendered 2 to them. We cannot afford to surrender 2 more. That happens Monday night. Only a few games before the All-Star break, which is a long break for the Calgary Flames. The schedule does slow down right now and is a little bit more favorable for the Flames. All right. Frustration ends. Counseling session's over. Are we going to be okay? I don't know. We're back next week to recap the Gaudreau return, talk about the current home, talk about how the current homestand is going, and kind of where we sit and what we need going into All-Star break. We're going to go through all that next week on the show. Kyle will be back next week. Check out flamesunfiltered.com. You can get us on Apple, Spotify, all the podcast players, video version, of course. Yeah, check out YouTube. We're on there. Have a good week, Flames fans. Check back next week. More Calgary Flames talks here on Flames Unfiltered. Get connected. Flames Unfiltered can be found on Twitter at Flame Unfiltered. Check out the Facebook page at Flames Unfiltered. Host Brad Burud is on Twitter at Brad Burud. And host Kyle Lewis is on Twitter at VanLewis14. Like what you hear? Rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Flames Unfiltered can be found on all the major podcast players. Want to watch the show? You got it. Check out Inside Edge Hockey Media Group for every show. Subscribe while you watch. Thanks for listening, watching, and interacting. Enjoy the hockey action.
We call Playoff! Yeah, baby! Playoff! Yeah, baby!
Thanks for tuning in to Flames Unfiltered. Check back for more action-packed Calgary Flames talk. This episode of Flames Unfiltered was copyrighted and produced by Inside Edge Hockey Media Group.